let's start with our affirmation of love. Reminding ourselves that wherever we are in this moment, we are in love. Just as each of us are in the air that surrounds us, so are we also in the love that surrounds us. And it's not as though love ends at the edge of our bodies. It completely moves through us and fills us. We are inseparable from it. And when we remember and we open ourselves to love, it can affect us. And that effect can be considered the same as healing or transformation. So taking this moment to just feel yourself in love. And also that we as a community, even though we're spread across 5 time zones right now, that we as our community is also a container of love in which we practice in this moment. I started to say tonight, but it's not tonight where some people are. So we are doing an exploration of our soul essences. And I want to remind all of us that our soul is completely whole and intact. It always has been, it always will be. So whatever I'm talking about in terms of our soul essence is nothing that we need to work on or try to build or create within ourselves. It's already there. The only thing that has happened is that we have lost track of that part of ourselves, and we've trusted another part of ourselves, our ego, to be our guide. And the ego uses the culture and the conditioning of our parents and our family and our communities to determine how to be our guide. So we're attempting to find our way back to the guidance of our soul. So I'm calling this aspect of the soul truth. And think of it as soul truth, not the kind of truth that we tend to think about when we think about something that is verifiable or provable. Soul truth is actually closer to something like wisdom, but it's even different than that. It's even a deeper part of ourselves. It's the deepest knowing that we have. So one time I was leading a group of people and I asked each of them to share an experience of God that they had had. And every person could readily share a time where they felt very sure that God was present to them in some way. And I followed that question up with the question, how did you know it was God? And that's when everybody just, it was like kind of deer in the headlights moment. Because we can't explain that kind of knowing. That's this deep soul knowing. So I'm imagining that as I tell that kind of story, that maybe you're touching in now to occasions where you have had that kind of knowing, not just about God, but where you just felt this depth of, I know. And so it's not that knowing that has anything to do with information, which is very, very common and just pervades our whole life. Information, information, information. And then the next step down is knowledge, where we do know a fact and can be able to apply it. But this is below all of that. So just see if you can begin to sense that you have had your own experiences of that knowing, this soul truth. So reminding us that as we do our practice together, it's like a journey, and there are stages to the practice as there are stages to the journey. And what we're doing is traveling from our everyday way of being to a state in which we are much more free, maybe not completely free, but much more free of our ego. And when that falls away, when that quiets, then the soul part of ourself can arise. And I liken that to, this property where we're living in this little small cramped house, when in reality on this same property is this big, airy, beautiful house that we can walk through the woods to anytime we want. It's just that we've forgotten it. So that's what we'll do each Sunday. We will take that journey. And when we arrive to this place where our soul is very accessible to us, we'll attempt to touch into that part of ourself that we're focused on. In this case, our soul truth. Now, I'll tell you why this soul truth matters. It's because it can actually be used in our day-to-day life. So recently I was on a trip to see a rental property that we have in Kansas. And the reason I went was because I need to decide whether I'm going to rent it out again or if I'm going to sell it. And my manager was telling me we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, we could do that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to come. I'm going to sit in that house for at least an hour, and then I'll know what to do. And I didn't sit in the house and go, well, I could. The information, I was just there and felt the space. So I'm just saying that this is actually a very practical process. When we know our own soul, we will know the steps that we need to take. So let's practice together. I invite you to just drop into your own experience and to notice whatever it is that's happening for you now. And as you notice any experience at all, whether that's I'm warm or I'm cold or a sound that I hear, simply name it to yourself. This is our first step into presence. This is a step we can take anytime to simply say, I feel my feet on the ground, to notice what we're hearing, to feel our breath. It's the first step into coming here now. So we deepen our presence and we ground our presence in this stage in our body, in our physical being. And so beginning with noticing your feet and simply noticing whatever your feet feel like in this moment. We do this without judgment, without needing to change anything at all. This is a practice of noticing. And noticing your ankles and your lower legs. Noticing your knees. Noticing your thighs. And your hips. Noticing your pelvis. And your low belly. Noticing your solar plexus. And your chest. Noticing your heart. And your shoulders. Noticing your arms, your upper arms, and your elbows. Noticing your lower arms, your wrists, and your hands. Noticing your back. And your neck. Noticing your scalp and your face. And then noticing your body as a whole. Feeling this one physical being that is you. And feeling how it is here now. So in a way, memorizing this feeling of being here now, When you get to know this place repeatedly, you can return here easily. I'm here. Remaining grounded and supported in and by the body. Begin to include in your awareness all your inner landscape. These are your feelings, your emotions, subtle sensations, images. It will even include thoughts. And you're not trying to make meaning or gain insight. Again, we are simply noticing what arises, getting to know our inner landscape. And then including all your beingness, your body, your spirit, your mind, your soul, feeling the entirety of you here now. And again, really paying attention to what that feels like. So that you can return to yourself. Now we've become present into our body and all of our inner landscape. So staying deeply grounded in that, become aware of the space that's around you, beginning with the room that you're in. Noticing the sounds, the sights, temperature of the air on your skin. And then extending your awareness past those four walls and beginning to include the land upon which you're situated. And beginning to include in your presence all the creatures, human, not human. The ground, the trees, mountains, the water. Recognizing yourself as a part of all of it, that you are in and of the world. Present on the earth and in the universe. And now bringing your awareness to your feet, feeling the way your feet are on the ground or the way your body is held in the seat you're in. And feeling the way you're being acted upon by gravity. Feeling yourself pulled into the earth and held here. So don't just take my word for it that you're held. See what it feels like to be held. And then notice how your being responds when you know you're held. When we know that we're held by gravity, when we know that we are held by love, we can begin to relax. And just rest here for a few moments, experiencing holding. And then including in your experience an awareness of your breath. And out of this place of beginning to relax and holding, simply observe the breath. Bringing beginner's mind to this activity that your body undertakes many times a minute, to really see what you can notice about your body breathing. And then really noticing what the out breath is like. This experience of release, of letting go of the breath, the air that is no longer needed. Making room for the new, the fresh. letting your body be your guide in that experience of surrender, of letting go. And when you feel stabilized, just following that breath all the way out into a complete surrender. Letting go of any thought or any need to behave or think in any way. It's a place of simple being. And from this place of deep presence and openness, we have access to our soul. So, really feeling your way towards your soul truth. This is not one truth, it's that sense of deep knowing, not a knowing of any certain thing. It simply is knowing. Feel that reality in yourself. Know and trust that it is here, and that with practice, you can access it anytime you need. Thank you so much for practicing with me and supporting my own practice. Love to you all.